Hello, everyone. I'm Caitlin Thomas, and I am here today to talk about how I use Dubsado as a photographer, specifically how I have streamlined my mini session workflow. And this has allowed me to grow my mini session, the mini session side of my business exponentially and serve my ideal customer, my ideal client with ease. For both them and for myself. So if you are considering starting a mini session business, this is going to be great for you. If you are just working on a portrait workflow or weddings or another type of business in Dubsado, I definitely think that there's going to be great nuggets in this webinar for you as well. But today I'm specifically going to not only be walking you through my workflow and how I have built my mini session business, but also how you can grow yours. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do it on the back end of Dubsado, which is going to be really helpful. I highly recommend if you want to take screenshots of things that I'm doing, refer back, make notes, take a note of the time of the recording so that when you are setting this up on your end, you can go back and watch. And I'm really excited to see what you guys do. Please drop a comment on this video and let me know, if you have questions or how this is working out for you. So again, I'm Caitlin Thomas. I have been a wedding and portrait photographer for 15 years now, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I have been in the process of scaling back on weddings and focusing more on portraits and the other ends of my business. In 2017, I had my first daughter and I knew that I needed to spend more time with my family. I needed to be working less as a full-time wedding photographer. If you know, I was working around the clock. And as an entrepreneur, there really is no paid leave. And so I had to figure something out. The mini session side of my business this last year grossed nearly $40,000 at a $345 mini session price point. That's insane to me that I was able to do that while being at home with two young kids under 5. And so I'm very, very passionate about other people being able to do this in an efficient way. And I think the most important thing is knowing that having a system that allows you to serve your ideal client with ease, that makes their whole experience with your business really wonderful, that they are shouting your praises and they are becoming like just absolute cheerleaders for your brand. Having systems is going to allow you to do that. It's not just about taking a pretty picture. Let's be honest. There are probably hundreds of thousands of us who can do that. It's about creating a great experience for them. And Dubsado has allowed me to do that more than any other system that I have ever tried in my 15 years of business. So how I use Dubsado as a wedding photographer, again, I'm kind of on the way out the door on that one. I shoot about 3 to 4 weddings a year for clients that are referral based or that I really, really mesh well with. And I use Dubsado for the booking and management of those clients. So all of my contracts, scheduling calls, etc. And the bread and butter of how I use Dubsado is definitely my mini sessions. So I use Dubsado to schedule sessions using the scheduler. I manage client relationships and I automate my system via Dubsado, and it has allowed me to grow that business. And then I also own another business called Beyond Boss, and we do personal and professional development for women. I also do business strategy for women-owned business, as well as mentorship and things like setting up Dubsado for them. So I use Dubsado for that. And we are also in the process of launching a marketing studio. So social media marketing, email marketing, etc. And we are using Dubsado for all of that as well. We have 2 different brands going and it's been really, really awesome. So let's talk about my mini session workflow and how I utilize Let's talk about my mini session workflow. I want to go through the whole process, not just what I do in Dubsado, but how I get people interested, how I keep them talking, how I get them excited and keep them loyal to my brand, all the way through the booking process into the confirmation and then the final delivery of their session. So the first thing that I do, if you do not have email marketing set up, you should jump on that because email marketing has been an absolute game changer for building my mini session business in conjunction with using Dubsado for my systems. So the first thing that I do is that I send out at the beginning of the year a list of dates that my clients would have available for booking mini sessions. I typically offer 2 to 3 per quarter, and those are my pre-planned dates. If those sell out, I do offer more. As a point of reference, my mini session dates for my most popular dates, which are typically spring, summer, fall, and holiday dates, those typically sell out in under 5 minutes to my email list. I offer at each date between 10 and 15 sessions. And this allows me to quickly sell them out. And then I know if I need to add additional dates for my clients. So having that email list is essential. Again, 2 days before booking, I announce that dates are going to start booking to my email list only. And I will tell people on my Instagram, booking is going to be open to email list only. Please get on. I share the link. They get on the email list, and I have all of those people condensed inside of a list. Again, as a point of reference, using email marketing, I was able to grow a list for these snow day sessions that I do, which essentially means, hey, if there's going to be a snow day, if we're going to get a lot of snow, I will send out an email the night before. It's a super discounted session. It's only 10 minutes in the cold, but you'll get an email the night before. And I shared photos on my Instagram story of what I had done last year for that. And then this year, within starting that segment of my email list, I was able to get, I believe, like 200 people on that snow day alert list within the first day. And when I did my first snow day session this year, they sold out in 3 minutes. So it really, building this hype up using email marketing is really awesome. But the thing is, if you build up the hype and you're not able to deliver, it's kind of like, right? You lose clients and they're not telling their friends about you. So doing this, allows me to build up the hype. And then I use Dubsado to make sure that I really deliver on that experience without having to spend a whole lot of time doing that. And again, a lot of my email marketing is also automated. So being able to be in communication with people, give them all the details they need without having to spend hours and hours doing all of this stuff on your computer is like chef's kiss, right? So, when I announce 2 days before booking opens, they receive 2 email reminders. That is going to include links to add an alarm to their calendar. So again, we've got the FOMO, we're building up this hype. Like, you better add an alert to your calendar for 5 minutes before noon when booking opens, because, they're going to sell out. It's similar to, I've seen cookie companies do this. I've seen water bottle companies do this, and it works really well. And I started doing this because it worked for me. So on booking day, my email marketing software sends out a link with pricing, instructions, and a link to my Dubsado scheduler. Inside of the scheduler, I will have, if I have multiple dates that I'm booking at once, I will use the scheduler group. And if it's one date, they will just get one link. But again, if there's several dates that I'm booking at once, for instance, for my holiday mini sessions, they will get one link that goes to the scheduler group where they can then go in and pick a date via the group. I can show you a little bit more of that as we dive into Dubsado. Once the client books their date, they're going to accept a proposal that I've created that's attached to the scheduler. They're going to pay their retainer. And just as a reminder, that language, retainer versus deposit, is incredibly important as far as whether or not they are refundable. So a retainer is non-refundable. And Dubsado creates a project for that client. It also adds them to my Google Calendar, which is really, really wonderful, because on the day of a session, I don't even need to open Dubsado to look at my calendar. It adds inside of my Google Calendar the client's name and any information that I've collected for them, as well as a phone number. So should I need to get a hold of them because they're running late, I can simply open my phone, tap on their phone number, and send them a text message right from my phone. So it's incredibly useful. And it's really great because my husband can also see my Google Calendar. He doesn't need to have access to my full Dubsado and go in there and click around and mess anything up in order to know what I have going on any given day. So it's been really, really helpful for us as a family to make sure that everything is aligned. And then finally, my Dubsado mini session workflow is going to activate once they book a session. It's going to send them a confirmation email with all of their session information and additional details. And I'm going to show you guys what that looks like on my end. And it's also going to show them, send them a final payment reminder as well as a session reminder 1 week and 24 hours out. So they can't say, oh, I forgot. Can you refund me or something like that? So I'm going to show you guys again what I include in those emails. It includes things like ideas of what to wear, all things that make them feel really well taken care of. But here's the kicker. It keeps them from emailing me over and over and over again with questions. When you're booking out dates where you have 10 to 15 families coming to you, the last thing that you want is to be answering the same questions over and over and over again for these people. That is what makes it almost impossible to grow a mini session business, because you're so busy answering communications and answering questions that you don't even have time to think, right? So it doesn't really make it a cash cow if you are, you're making all this money, but you're spending hours and hours communicating with clients. So again, I'm going to show you guys, but I do include things like what to wear, a link to my Pinterest outfit idea board, as well as things like how long it's going to take to get their photos after the session, when their final payment will be due, etc. And I do want to note that I do think it's important to take a retainer, a non-refundable retainer, for them to hold a session date. I did not used to do that. At first, I did not take any retainer they paid before. And what happened? A bunch of people wouldn't show up, or they would cancel, or they would ask for a reschedule. They didn't take it very seriously because I didn't take it very seriously. Then I started taking full payment, and my bookings were a little bit lower. People do get nervous about booking things, with their kids. They don't know about, illness or whatever. But when I started taking $100 deposit, when I go ahead and release dates, if I'm booking 15 sessions on a day, that is a cash infusion of $1,500, and I really haven't had to do anything yet. Dubsado's done it all for me. So I've got all that. That's all non-refundable. And then they owe their final payment 5 days before. So I make sure that I'm paid in full, and I have a second cash infusion 5 days before these mini session dates. So as an entrepreneur, for me, I like to break up payments a little bit. It also keeps me from having to deal with the refund argument. Most people who have to cancel on me for, a reason other than weather or sickness are not asking for a refund, because they know it's non-refundable and it was only $100. So it really doesn't take any money out of my pocket or time out of my day. So we are going to walk through setting up a Dubsado account. I'm going to be bouncing back a little bit between a sample account where we are starting completely from scratch today, as well as my account. I'm going to make this the easiest version possible. It's going to take you a little bit of extra clicking around and doing digging. But I wanted to show you, if you are a visual learner, this is really important for me, how I do it. So let's walk through the process of setting this up within Dubsado. When I help other photographers set this up, I break it into several sections. So at first, the first thing you want to do, and this is something you might want to screenshot right now or make notes on, is your pre-setup. So you want to set up your Dubsado with all of your branding. You want to set up your your logo, your colors. You want to set it up with your payment processing options. You want to set up your brand, your email signatures. You want to set up all of that fun stuff, all of the back end stuff that doesn't really have much to do with the client facing, but we want to get that all done before we start templating things, just to make sure that everything is unified and on brand for you. Again, as annoying as it can sound, creating a unified visual brand does create and does build more trust with your client. They know that your Instagram looks like your website, looks like your booking form. So Dubsado does allow you to customize a lot of stuff, and I highly recommend doing all of that before you even jump into the setting up of your processes. Next, we're going to do all of our templates. This is going to include importing all of our contracts, doing all of our questionnaires, doing all of our canned emails. Anything that's a template, anything that you are going to send multiple times, you're going to want to set that up within Dubsado, or you alternatively can write everything. If you're doing all your canned emails, you can write them all in a Google Doc, have them all in one place, and then you can just copy and paste as you get through there. But you really want to familiarize yourself with how all of the tags work, the smart tags, things like, client name, session date, all of that, how they look. It's all, again, we're going to jump into Dubsado here in a moment, but it is all inside of the program. And you can see, where everything is in an easy way to just input them in. But I like to have people look through and really familiarize yourself with what that means. So for instance, client first name versus client full name. Do we want to send them an invoice reminder that says, "Hi, Susie Q. Jones, time to pay your invoice"? Or do we want it to be more familiar? "Hi, Susie. hey, Susie. So know how the tags work and what they do is really, really important. The next thing you're going to want to do is set up your scheduler. So you're going to import the dates that you want to utilize. Make sure you get really familiarize yourself with how it works. If you're going to have errors in your workflow and in your booking process, it's going to be from not properly setting up your scheduler. And I can tell you from personal experience that there have been times where I thought I was good. And then just little things to think about. If your calendar, your Google Calendar is synced with your Dubsado and you have it set up to not allow people to book if things are going on, for instance, if you have a rolling calendar and you always allow people to book meetings on Tuesdays at 9 a.m., you don't want them to be able to book something if you have booked a doctor's appointment on your calendar. However, if you have mini sessions and you've got your second cousin twice removed's birthday inside of the scheduler, and it's set to all day, it may not allow them to do that. So again, this comes down to point 4 is like test and retest, but those are just things you want to think about as you're setting up your Dubsado scheduler and the calendar there. The third thing you're going to want to do is set up your workflow automations. This is going to be things like sending out an invoice 5 days before. It's going to be sending out their appointment reminders and their appointment confirmations. So all of those things you want to do last. You don't want to set up automations first. You want to make sure you have all of your templates, your contracts, your schedulers, your workflow, all of that done before you set up automations. And then always test and retest. You don't want your clients to be the one testing your automations. That is kind of a no-no. So let's jump into Dubsado and we can take a look at how I would set this up for you. Again, this is kind of like a quick start, and it's going to allow you to figure out exactly what you need to do in order to make it work. And then you can kind of build on that as you grow this side of your business. All right, so here we are in a sample Dubsado brand. I'm not going to walk too much through the features here, but I do want to jump in and show you how I would set up this system for a client who already had all of her emails written and her templates. When I work with people for a VIP day, doing things like this, getting them set up, I have them give me all of their contracts, their questionnaire questions that they want to ask their clients. I have them give all of that to me before we even start working together. So we're not going to go over how I do contracts and all that fun stuff. I'm going to show you how I implement it inside of Dubsado. So what we want to do is go down to templates and forms. You are going to import all of your contracts here. So you do want to have a mini session contract here. That is one way to do this. However, what I do for my mini sessions is do them all via a proposal. So what we would do here is do a new proposal, and this is going to be attached to our scheduler. So rather than attaching a separate contract, a separate questionnaire, a separate invoice, we're going to do this all in one place. So we are going to do mini session form. What I do, I will have different terms and conditions that apply to different types of mini sessions. So for instance, like I mentioned, those snow day sessions are only $100. They're the day before, so I don't do a retainer. You pay in full because it's tomorrow morning, right? So that session, that's going to look a little bit different than my holiday sessions that are like my top price point. And so I can just duplicate, make a copy of these proposals and attach them to different schedulers. And that's the beauty of templates, right? So we'll just call this mini session form. And so what we want to do here is include, this is going to serve as a questionnaire that's going to get all of our clients' information as well as a contract for them. While, again, this is not legal advice, while it doesn't have the technical signature form that the contract does, I am using this as like an initial here if you understand the terms. And so again, not legal advice, consult your attorney. If they feel like you need to do the actual contract form, that's fine. But I personally have never had any issues doing it this way. And again, it's just ease of use, because what I don't want to do is put any barriers in between my client getting in when they get that email and getting booked. If they have multiple forms they need to go through, they need to go back after getting an email and sign a separate contract. It can sometimes kind of slow down the process. And then they either miss out on their session time or they kind of just get irritated and give up. So we're not going to do that. So I like to set up 2 columns here. We'll call this all about you. And you're going to want to include here some things using short answers. So we might want to ask your name. And we'll actually, I like to separate first and last name. So again, you want to make sure it is mapping to the correct tag here. So client first name here. We'll do last name. And I'm going to just show you this. We're going to go through it. I want it to seem really simple for you. Again, some of my stuff is more robust, and I will show you that after we do this setup. Again, we're going to want to do their email here. You want any information that you really need from this client in order to serve them appropriately. And we do want to make sure that all of these things are required. In order for them to book. We don't want them booking without giving us a phone number and email address in case we need to get a hold of them, right? So you can add in whatever you want here. This is just how I do it. So the next thing I'm going to do is add in a text box here. Maybe, right? Maybe. Okay. So we'll add in a text box, and this might be where you include your booking agreement. And that can be, all of the terms and conditions. Things I like to include that I like them to initial that they understand. Their retainer is non-refundable, that they will get their photos back in 21 to 30 days, that they get X amount of photos from a mini session. If they'd like additional, this is the cost for it. That mini sessions occur at the place that I have scheduled, at the time that they have scheduled, that it is not negotiable, that I can deny any poses I don't want to do. That any more than X amount of people in their session are going to cost them additional monies, right? We don't want them bringing, three different extended pieces of their family showing up for a 20-minute session. So anything that is important for your terms, get it in there. And let's jump into my brand, and I can show you what mine looks like. Okay, so this is my proposal for mini sessions. Just as an aside, one of the things that I like to add to all of my forums in every system and process that I use are emojis for different categories of things that I do. If you're anything like me, you're doing a bunch of stuff. So I like to use the little flashing camera emoji up here for everything that I do that has to do with mini sessions. So whether it's in my calendar, if I have a specific calendar, my Gmail, anything like that, I like to make sure that it all has the same emoji. I'm a visual thinker, and so that really helps me to stay organized. Might not work for you, but just a little tidbit. So this is a really customized form, and you can do that. If you're wondering how the heck I did that, I know that there's other webinars that would allow you to figure that out. But I do an edit code block, and I have some code in here that includes my custom fonts and colors to match my website. The standard is going to be white, and you will need custom code to do this. But so this is essentially how my form works. We have the first thing that they do is to pick their package. I do offer our standard package as well as adding extra images. The nice thing about doing this before their session is again, I'm trying to eliminate the amount of communications and emails that I'm answering. So this allows them to say, oh, I want more than 20 images. And so they can select it. They can pay the $50, get the 20 extra images. I know that it's there. I know that they purchased it. And so I just give them inside of the system that I use to deliver photos. Instead of, adding, they can download 20 photos, they get to download 40 photos. So that works really, really well. The next thing I have here is actually the information that we did in the last part where we were setting up the sample brand. This is going to be where I take, again, their first name, last name, email, cell number. I like children's names and ages if that should apply, so I know what to expect. I do the purpose of their session. So I have family photos, kids photos, headshot, other couples or engagement. And then also I like to ask how they found me. So they are allowed to I have different project sources. So former couples, existing clients, Instagram, or a friend. And then I have my service agreement. Again, this will be whatever you want it to be. And again, I do include all of our session details and terms. And then I have like a COVID waiver in there, like basically, please don't come if you're sick. And so I agree and type your signature is what's in there. And then on the back end, let's take a moment and switch back over to our sample brand. So back over on the sample brand and we are going to go to settings. So we're not going to show their contract. We will show their invoice, and we're going to allow them to select multiple packages if you're doing the add additional images or if there's anything else you want to include. This invoice will have a payment schedule, and this is something that, again, you're going to want to set up in that templating section of your whole setup process. And my payment schedule is going to be paid in full 7 days before, and I set that up using templates and inside of payment plans. So again, you can do some different styling questions, etc. here. But and we do want to create a new project. Doing a proposal allows us to create a new project that actually imports this new client into Dubsado. And you want to make sure that this is set to public so that when they are using the scheduler, they can actually see it as they move through. So again, using a proposal here is going to allow us to collect information about the client. It's going to allow them to select a package as a part of their mini session, and it is also going to allow them to sign that contract. So the next thing that we want to do, in addition to setting up all of our forms, and again, in that first section, I cannot stress this enough, go in there, do all of your canned emails in here. I have a ton of canned emails. These are all actually for my actual brand here. But what we want to do now is go into our scheduler, and this is really essential for our workflow for the client. So I am just showing you guys how I do my snow day minis. I had one date that was available. And that was set up again inside of the scheduler here. What you can do is add an additional date here that's a little bit further out from where you are. You're going to want to put in the available times. And again, I am using the custom time 10 minutes for these. I have a fixed date range, which essentially means that it's only these dates. It's not rolling. These are the dates that are available. So let's say that we want to allow them to book appointments from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. We're going to add the time here only on February 3rd. We're going to have an address of where they're going to go. We have, this is a booking email. You don't necessarily need to include this with the way that this system is where I'm doing this system. So it's a custom time, again, 10 minutes. You can set this session time to whatever amount you want. My standard mini sessions are 20 minutes. These ones are 10 minutes. And then again, we'll go to advanced. I like to prevent them from booking a session 12 hours in advance. I don't want them booking, I don't want to be going to bed at midnight and finding out in the morning that I actually need to get dressed and go to a session. So I like to keep that at 12 hours. You can do whatever you want. It can be 2 hours. It could be 72 hours. It could be whatever you want. You can do a buffer time. I don't. I've been doing mini sessions for about 10 years now. And so I don't do any buffer, but if you'd like to have 5 minutes before, 5 minutes after, that's fine. I have my clients so well trained that they know that if they show up and I'm still with another client, or if I need to take a drink, that's okay. Like, they can wait a moment. And I show my sessions in increments of 10 minutes because they are 10-minute sessions. You could do a max allowed appointments for the day. So this would be if you are opening up mini sessions for the full day and you only want to shoot 5. However, if you are going, say you have a studio rented, you're going to a park, you probably don't want to do that. You just want to set that window inside of the scheduler here so that they can't book outside of that time, so that if you don't fully book a day out, you don't have, 2-hour break. You just want to get it done, right? So we have a welcome message that we can add. This typically, if I am doing a rain date for sessions, if they're outdoors, it will say, please also be aware of the rain date. There is a $100 retainer to book, etc. You add your confirmation email in here, and I'm going to go in and show you guys what that looks like. But you set whatever canned confirmation email you want there. I have my mini session confirmation. You can do an additional form. I don't need to do that here. And then also the require a deposit is like essential here. This is where we're going to take our retainer. So for these sessions, I had them pay in full for the $130. But this is where you would do that $100 deposit. They can apply discounts if you have anyone who has a free credit, or if you want to be able to give family and friends. And then I also have their reminder emails set up here. So this is my canned confirmation email. Again, I have it really branded. I've got my logo in there, and you can use all of these features down here to change font colors, to change all the formatting. Not going into all of that today, but I wanted to show you what I do include in that booking email after they've confirmed. So again, I use client first name. I'm using exclamation points. I want it to seem really free or fun. And so thank you so much for scheduling your mini session. Mini sessions are so fun, easy, and stress-free. I want to confirm to them, a lot of parents who are getting photos taken for their kids are stressed out by this. It's a big investment. And if they have not worked with me yet, then the idea of only 20 minutes to get photos of their kids seems really scary. So we want to just make them feel really comfortable with this process and with the investment that they've made. Because your scheduler is attached to all of this information, we are going to be able to send them their appointment start time at the appointment date. I like to include the appointment location. All of those things are what you set up inside of the scheduler. The duration, so they know that it's only 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it is. And then I also include the appointment calendar link. All of these tags can be added inside of the smart field, going down, clicking appointment. Again, here we are, appointment name, location, duration. You can include a cancellation or a reschedule button. I do not do that. They need to email me and let me know if they're going to cancel. I don't want it to be easy for them to just cancel it on a whim. I want them to be able to at least reschedule them. I don't want to lose out on that income, especially at the last minute. The last thing you want is for people, well, maybe some people enjoy this, but the last thing that I want is for people to be canceling at the last minute, and then suddenly I'm losing out on that additional payment. And so I only get the retainer. I would rather take the payment and reschedule them for another date. Maybe they don't necessarily need to know that that is always an option, and sometimes it's not. And so here I've included the add to calendar link. This allows them to tap that button. It's going to add it to their whatever, if they use Outlook or Gmail, it's going to add that to their calendar, which is a really nice feature. So here's where I think it's really important as far as how we are serving our clients. We are able to do, the outfit inspiration. So this is a link to a Pinterest board that I've created with some outfits that I really like. We include that their final payment is due 5 days before. Please plan to arrive with enough time to find parking and prepare your family. Send me a text if you arrive. We're trying to avoid multiple families getting together. Remember, this is going to be fun, not torture. 20 minutes will fly by and you'll have beautiful images to look back on. And my standard turnaround time after your session is typically 3 to 4 weeks, depending on the time of year. I promise to email you as soon as your gallery is completed. Thank you so much, and include a signature there. So this is just, and I have some that are more customized, but this is an appointment reminder that says your appointment is coming up. I'm so excited. And again, it includes the same stuff. It includes the link to pay their balance, the location of their session, and the time and date, etc. And then if you need to contact me within 24 hours before you shoot, please call or text me. Like, don't send me an email. I may not see it. So call or text me. You don't have to do all of these things, but these are just little things that allow me to, again, I'm removing this constant questioning email because I'm taking a mass volume of sessions at one time. If I have a busy mini session weekend, I may have 45 families that I'm serving in one weekend, and I don't want to be answering a million different emails. And I also don't want them to feel like they have to hunt me down to get questions answered. They already have this information. The number one question that so often I was getting was, what should we wear for our session? So I put together a Pinterest board, included it when they book, and I don't get that question anymore. They just refer right to that email. They look at it. And you know what? The other benefit of that is that the stuff that they show up in is really nice to photograph. It works really well in my portfolio, and they feel more confident because they know that what they're wearing is something that's going to work really well in front of the camera. If they're not, fashion savvy, they don't want to go to the store and just sit there and stare at things with no idea of what they're going to do. They're like, well, this is what my photographer thinks is pretty, so I like it. It's great. Let's do this. So the final step after you have done all of your templating, you've set up your scheduler, and you feel really confident in what you've set up and what you're going to be sending to your clients, is to set up your workflows. So this is a sample mini session workflow that I have. This email is going to be sending them their mini session confirmation and prep immediately after the workflow is started. And I do have their workflow attached to that scheduler. And I can show you guys how to do that in just a moment. It's going to add the tags mini sessions and portraits immediately after all the previous actions are completed. We're going to activate the portal immediately after previous actions are completed, which allows them to go into their portal, click, and find their invoice as well as their appointment time. If they use the same name and email address, then they will be able to see previous appointments with me, which is really nice. And then it's going to send them a primary invoice 5 days before the appointment start time. And so you can see that I've got a couple different versions here that we could look at, but I wanted to be able to go in here and show you how we would add a reminder email. So we're going to do send an email, and we're going to do the reminder email here. We've got all these different payment reminders for different kinds, but I'm going to do the mini session reminder email here. This includes note the rain date, finalize your payment. This payment must be finalized within 48 hours or your session time will be released. And I include the same information again. So this goes out 5 days before. They're going to get, again, the family photo inspiration, standard turnaround time, etc. So we're going to set this to relative. It is 5 days before the appointment start time. And you're going to add a scheduler template and click apply. And that is now in here, and we can just view our workflow and see where we are at. This is an old one that I had set up. So it's really, really, really powerful. You can do a number of things. You can send multiple emails here. But again, you can see that once this is applied to the project, it's so easy to do a boatload of different communications with your client. Again, with the end goal of making them feel confident, excited, informed, and again, like most importantly, more, all of that is fantastic. It means that they're talking about you, they're singing your praises before they've even gotten their photos taken or gotten their photos back. But it also means that you're allowed to take more work on and enjoy that work, the part that you enjoy, the taking of photos, without having to answer all of the obnoxious emails, right? Because they can get super obnoxious. So that is why I really, truly believe that Dubsado has been an absolute game changer for me in the way that I do my mini sessions. So we went through, you did your pre-setup, you set up your brand, you did your templates, your scheduler, your workflow automations. Now you need to test and retest. One of the ways that I like to do this is to just duplicate that scheduler and form and make a $0 package and a $0 retainer and have a friend book a session with me, or I can do it myself. But I do really like to send it to a friend or someone that I trust that's not super familiar with the back end of the process. So maybe not one of my clients who's been using it for 20 years or 15 years. But they are able to go in and test and see, make sure that it works. We want to make sure that it's not way too difficult for them to use or that there's major errors in that process. Mini sessions can be an absolute cash cow for portrait photographers. It allows you to serve a large amount of clients, get them beautiful photos, eliminate these long 2-hour sessions at someone's house, driving all over the place. They are at a time you determine, a place you determine. You set the parameters. You know what the light is going to look like. You know where to be, and you're not driving all over creation. But with poor systems and processes, they can be really, really, really overwhelming, and they can be an absolute disaster. So Dubsado allows you to take a lot of the tedious guesswork out of serving your wonderful clients. It allows you to snap photos and get paid with all of that super labor-intensive back-end work. And again, the mass amounts of communications that you get if you're not proactively communicating with those clients. Now, by the time they get their photos back from you, they are so thrilled with how the process went. They felt so supported. They felt so comfortable with you. They had such a good experience that then they get their photos back and they're tagging you on Instagram. They're telling your friends. And you can add in your delivery emails for your photos, hey, here's the link to my email list. Tell your friends to get on my email list so that they can be a part of this magic when I start booking my next round of minis. Thank you so much for bearing with me today and listening to what makes me really excited, the back-end systems and processes. If you're interested in staying in touch with me, you can follow me at Caitlin Thomas or at Caitlin Thomas_portraits. You can also email me or check me out on the web. You can check out my website. And if you're interested in any services to help you do this, I am always here to help. Thank you so much for having me, Dubsado. This was really amazing. I am so passionate about this application and how it can really change the life of entrepreneurs. Have a wonderful day.